We begin tonight with fake news CNN. In 9 years as the network's president, Jeff Zucker transformed CNN from a boring, left-of-center news outlet to a still boring, totally, completely, utterly dishonest, lying, anti-Trump, Fox-obsessed arm of the Democratic Party. Now Zucker's out. Bye-bye. Anyway, in a statement, he claims his resignation is because of a consensual relationship with another executive that he did not properly disclose. Okay? Let me be blunt. I'm sorry. I'm not buying that for 1 second. Now, mark my words, the real story will come out one day and probably sooner than later. To me, this statement, like so many other things of fake news CNN, it's total BS or total B-Schiff, Adam Schiff. Anyway, this statement, like so many other things of fake news CNN, it's not real. Zucker's relationship, okay, the whole world of media knew about this for years. It was not a secret. People from all across multiple networks, they have been talking about it for years. And remember, Mean Girl, Katie Couric, wrote all about it in her book published last year. So when Jeff Zucker's personal stenographer, Humpty the Dumpty, tweeted that CNN was stunned, Humpty was obviously lying. And as a final act of deep obedience as Zucker's stenographer, Humpty Dumpty has been spewing pro-Zucker propaganda all day. Now, we'll likely know a lot more in the days ahead, but his girlfriend at CNN, and it should, again, as it pointed out, it was a consensual relationship between them. Well, she formerly served, this is where it gets interesting, as the communications director for, that's right, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo several years ago. Now, it gets more interesting. Andrew's brother, former CNN host Chris Cuomo, is, according to numerous sources I have sources everywhere, they are preparing a lawsuit related to his own dismissal. And by the way, preservation notices have already been sent. Now, it would appear that the Cuomos know a lot about Jeff Zucker and the unethical practices and the double standards taking place at the so-called Facts First network. Now, my best guess is Jeff Zucker, I bet he's completely in the loop as it relates to Chris and Andrew Cuomo. And to what extent, time will tell. My prediction is Chris Cuomo is going to get his full contract paid out. They said they fired him for cause. And my other bet is he'll likely get a lot more money before all of this is said and done. But the problem is, look at poor Humpty Dumpty. He seems very, very nervous. Take a look.
The Chris Cuomo reference. Cuomo was fired in December, and he is not going out quietly. He was fired, and there were reports that he wasn't going to get paid the millions of dollars that were going to be on the remainder of his contract. So as a source said to me earlier today, he was trying to burn the place down. He was going to court trying to burn the place down and claiming that he had incriminating information about Zucker and Gullist. So if that's the case, if this is a domino effect that begins with Andrew Cuomo going down in the governor's office and then Chris Cuomo being fired from CNN and then Jeff Zucker losing his job at CNN, that is a remarkable domino effect, a chain of events.
Now, it's official. Jeff Zucker's stenographer, that guy, Humpty Dumpty, is now in a boat without a rudder. What's Humpty going to do? Humpty, guess what? Kissing Jeff Zucker's ass like you've been doing for years, it's not going to advance your pathetic failing career anymore. Now, his very generous meal ticket is now gone, and now Humpty Dumpty may be close behind. Look at this from the Daily Mail. Insiders are calling for Humpty, that's Brian Stelter, to be fired after failing to report Zucker's, quote, open secret affair. Remember, Stelter is a so-called chief media correspondent for fake news CNN, and he never seems to notice when his dear leader or anyone on his network is doing something wrong. In fact, one source actually just referred to as Jeff Zucker's water boy, if you read the piece. You call yourself a journalist, right, Humpty? Pretty pathetic. Now, of course, we wish Humpty Dumpty well. We don't call for firings, but I'd be prepared for one. Now, journalists of fake news CNN, MSDNC, every other left-wing network, we don't call for these people to be fired. We don't call for censorship. I never have. I'm never going to. We don't call for boycotts either. I've explained why many times. You don't like what CNN is putting out there on the channel? Don't watch it. Change the channel. Please watch us. It's that simple. In fact, most Americans already on their own have changed the channel because almost nobody watches fake news CNN. I think the ratings are lower now than 9 years ago when Zucker took over. Now, their few remaining viewers are probably stuck in an airport if you want to know the truth. That's the great thing about freedom and individualism. And this is important because some of you get mad at me that I don't call for firings and boycotts and cancellations. You get to make the decision based on what's right for you. You don't need to control what your neighbor is watching or what they're eating or what they're celebrating or what they're wearing. You know, when people get mad at me because I don't support cancel culture, boycotts, and firings, you know, now you know why. And it's a simple answer. It's one word. It's Mel Gibson in Braveheart. Freedom. Freedom to decide what to watch. Freedom to listen to what you want to listen to. Freedom to eat what you want, maybe too much. Freedom to eat healthy. Freedom to drink. Freedom to, you know, you get to decide on, for example, the vaccine. Take it seriously. Do your research is my advice. Talk to your doctor. It could be a matter of life and death. But ultimately, freedom lets you decide that. This brings us now to Whoopi Goldberg. Now, she said the Holocaust was about evil and man's inhumanity to man. Well, on that point, she was right. It's hard for good people to imagine such horrific evil. 6 million plus Jewish people were slaughtered, murdered by Hitler and the Nazis. I wrote a whole book, Deliver Us from Evil. And also, it was about an evil plan, about a master race. On the latter, she was wrong. I am and always will be, if you're a longtime watcher, a viewer of this show and listener to my radio program, there's no stronger ally. I'm one of the biggest allies of Israel and one of their biggest supporters in the country. Whoopi Goldberg rightly apologized. Now she's facing a widespread backlash. She's got a 2-week suspension. So, Whoopi, if you're watching, if you hear about this, my unsolicited advice, you don't have to listen to me. Whatever you do, don't quit. Because I personally believe, having known her, Whoopi's like a peace, love, and happiness person. Live and let live. I know because I've met her. But I believe her apology is sincere. Now, I might be wrong. Time may prove me wrong. Time will tell. And I'd bet a lot of money that she will never say anything like this again. So why are so many people out there, you know, unwilling to give a second chance? Why not let the audience of The View, it's not me, why don't you let them decide if they want to watch or not? When you're in the middle of a firestorm, my advice would be you just got to hold on, be strong, keep moving, and if you want to leave, leave on your terms, and certainly not in 2 weeks. Never bow down to an angry mob. You said something wrong. You apologize. Now you have an opportunity. Hopefully, ABC will bring you back in 2 weeks to get it right and then get on with your career. Welcome to the world, by the way, that we at Fox and we conservatives on talk radio live every day. That's our world because tens of millions of dollars are spent trying to get us fired, boycotted, and canceled every single day. It's been 33 years of my life living with this. And we have always been consistent about opposing this. Now, unfortunately, many in the media mob, they're only all of a sudden, now that it's impacting them, now they're starting to see the light. Take a look.
I want to know who is so frail over at ABC or who is so frail out there that they can't understand when somebody makes a mistake, apologizes for the mistake, and takes all the corrective actions that could be taken for that mistake, and then they're still suspended for 2 weeks.
This is something that is just going to like start getting ridiculous. I mean, if Whoopi Goldberg is canceled, that would be the end of this all. This cancel culture is getting so out of hand.
I'm on this show every night. And I say things that I regret all the time, and sometimes it comes out of my mouth, and I want to pull it back, right? And I think as long as we can learn from that, and if the apology is sincere, I think we should allow people to move on and not so-called cancel them.
You know, I'd like to believe that they mean what they're saying, but I don't believe them. Watch what happens the next time a conservative is under fire. Keep in mind, Morning Joe, you know, the hosts over there called for a boycott of the Trump White House and White House aides. Remember, Mika also boycotted SoulCycle, Equinox, because the owner held a fundraiser for Donald Trump. Fake News CNN, Don Lemon encouraged the Biden White House to stop taking questions from Fox News reporters. People like Peter Doocy. You know, Joe Scarborough blasting Spotify for not doing enough to censor and silence Joe Rogan. All right, which brings me to Joe Rogan, who I also have a message for. I don't know him personally. Joe, whatever you do not back down. No more apologies. You were acting in good faith. You're giving your opinion. You have a show. You told your audience what you did that helped you get over COVID. Thank God you're alive. I'm glad it worked. You interviewed the doctor that was at the top of his game and helped create the mRNA technology that led the way to the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. You were right to interview him, and being inquisitive is a good thing, not a bad thing. And thankfully, right now, the only artists pulling their music from Spotify to protest Rogan are a bunch of old, washed-up former hippies. Oh, and Mary Trump pulling her podcast. I'm sure her dozens of listeners are so upset and disappointed. Now, sadly, those on the left, they don't really believe in free speech. They don't believe in the Bill of Rights. They want government and big tech to control what you do, what you say, how you think. And in other words, they want to force your compliance. Don't let them. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.